You don't have to call me Mister. You don't even have to be as informal as just using the letter T for tent. If you choose to go that route, the mail will get to me one way or another. There's my address, kids. Mr. T, aka Malcolm Tent, P.O. Box 3626, Newtown, Connecticut 06470. You send it, and I guarantee you that, Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, I will take a personal trip to the Newtown post office, put the key in the lock, open it up, and grab whatever you send and check it out. You know why? Because that's the way I like to roll, man. Me, Malcolm Tent, your host every single week of Tent Talks Tunes, baby. I'm here, I'm now. Boy, that's a weird camera angle. Let's see if we can't adjust that a little bit. Get a little better framing there. I'm a one-man operation, you know. Everything is, it's DIY to the max. Everything from having a really cheap camera to having no crew whatsoever. That's part of the charm of Tent Talks Tunes. Hello, Ms. Gelman. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you here. Ms. Gelman's been through this a number of times. She's a regular viewer from the great town of Tucson, Arizona. Somebody once said that my show was a throwback to the days of cable access TV, which I took as a very high compliment. I don't know if cable access TV is still a thing. I'd like to think it is. But I used to love watching the weird, unusual, and really cool homemade programming, excuse me, that you could see on your local cable access channels. So if I can bring that to you, if I can keep that vibe alive with the backdrops and the lights and the production values, I'm very happy to. Hello, Pear, from way over there. Good to see you tuning in, Mang, another regular from the great Scandinavian countries. Yes, thank you very much. Sweden in the house. Woo! We got a lot of stuff going on right here. I'm going to be talking today about some of the, in my opinion, the best album covers of all time. All about the visuals. Luke Walker, thanks for checking in. Hopefully Luke and I will be working on some shows, some live appearances by Malcolm Tent. That's me, you know, the guy who wears his own t-shirt. Yes. If all goes well, I might be playing out in Luke's area, in Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, St. Louis, Missouri, and many points in between. So keep an eye open for that. If you ever wanted to buy one of my t-shirts in person, and you're living out there in the Midwest, that just might be your chance. You also get to see what I can do with a guitar, baby. It's dangerous. It's deadly. It's dumbfounding. It'll raise your IQ by several points. I can't guarantee it, but I try. I really try. I work at it really hard. Let's see who else is tuning in right now. Yeah, we got Larry Mann. Larry is complimenting me on my haircut. Thank you very much. The hair, it's a Paris Mancini original haircut from Fly Hair. If anybody wants to note the carbuncle on my eye, you might as well just go ahead and say it. I've got this incredible big red thing on my face. That was from Harry the cat. Harry, who you've seen once or twice here on Tent Talks Tunes. Harry is an outdoor cat, and he just loves to roam around the neighborhood. And where I live, it's kind of wild. There's lots of trees and undergrowth and underbrush and lots of greenery. And as you might imagine here in Connecticut, lots of poison ivy. So Harry goes out and he runs around through all that stuff, and he comes in, and if I'm not paying attention, he'll jump in the window, and I'll be working or playing or doing something, and he'll jump right on me, and he'll start nuzzling up to me and, you know, rubbing my face, and he's covered in poison ivy. So you should, you know, check this out. That's my arm with nice poison ivy on it. That's from Harry the cat. Got a little bit there. I don't know if you can see it. Just a little bit there. And of course, this great big glob on my face. Thank you, Harry, the loving cat, for reminding me that I'm alive, for giving me constant stimuli to remind me that I have feelings and that I can feel stuff. And I just, this one actually hurts. That's painful. It looks at least as bad as it feels, or vice versa. But what can I say? Harry's the cat. I love him. Cats are perfect. They do what they do. Who's going to argue? In fact, he's out there right now collecting a fresh batch of poison ivy. And believe me, I'll be watching a lot more carefully this time. Ms. Gelman says, yeah, Tucson, baby. I love playing Tucson. Eric wants me to bring it to Tennessee. Eric Peterson, if you've got any leads on where to play, message me. Hit me up. As I mentioned at the start of the show, I'm all DIY. I'm my own booking agent, my own driver, my own merch guy. And I've played some really good gigs in Tennessee, man. Chattanooga's a good stop. Nashville is a lot of fun. Let's play Tennessee. Stephen Smith, let's play Richmond. Yes, let's play everywhere. Greg Schmidt, my partner in grime here at the Danbury Record Show, is tuned in. Thanks, guys. Let's look at the mail, man. Let's check the mail. Enough about the misery that the cat has brought in with me through the window. Let's see what kind of joy the mail carrier has brought me through my P.O. box. Well, the first thing that arrived this week, which I'm very satisfied and very happy with, is the brand new solo album by Marla V. Marla from Rancid Vat, original founding member of Rancid Vat, has her first solo album here right now. It's Marla V and the Natural Born Studs. And I would like to take credit for helping Marla navigate the troubled waters of Audacity. If you know Audacity, it's a really, really excellent freeware program for audio recording. It's a very powerful tool, but the learning curve, it's got about the trajectory of the launch of a space shuttle. It's a pain in the butt. So I was very pleased to go back and forth a little bit with Marla. We got her on Audacity, and the result is held in my sweaty little hand right now. Thank you, Marla. I will be checking it out. And when I say sweaty, I mean sweaty. It's 90-something today in Connecticut with 90-something% humidity. You people don't know what a favor I'm doing for you by showing up here on camera wearing a t-shirt. This is hot. Like Alice Cooper said, it's hot tonight. It's hot today, baby. Oy. What else did I get in the mail? This was a real unexpected treat for my good pal Stacy Peak from the most excellent Green Eggs and Jam record store in Morganton, North Carolina, where I have played and where I have shopped. He sent me this old issue of Discoveries, Record Collector's Magazine from 1998. And no, not because the Grateful Dead's on the cover. No, that's definitely not the reason, I can assure you. I'm not a Grateful Dead hater, but they're not my favorite band ever. No, it's because of an article that appears in the pages of Discovery. And the very funny thing is, I remember when I was minding my own business at the WFMU record meet in New York City, and a guy with a camera came up to me and said, hey, can I take your picture? I said, sure. Show me one of the records you're selling. I said, sure. So I, of course, being the contrarian that I am, aimed myself at this guy with the camera and held in my hands, hope you guys can see this, a G.G. Allin record. Yes, that's me in 1998, baby. I was a lot hairier on the head and quite a bit less hairy in the face. And there's an article about the WFME record show, and it's got a picture of me and a quote from me. And I remember this picture being taken. I never saw the article, but I remember the picture. So go figure. A mere, however many years later, 23 years later, my good friend Stacy Peak sent it to me in the mail. And now I've got it. And I can throw this on a great big pile of other magazines I've got that have me in them. And my ego, my tremendous ego, will simply balloon and swell even more. So that I have this ego aura, the size of the head of the Elephant Man. But it's cool, baby, because I'm keeping it under control. Eric Peterson says he's in Chattanooga. Man, let's do a show in Chattanooga. My good friend Alex Brunel from the city of Los Angeles, California, worked out a trade with me. I sent him a couple of my Devo photography books, The Women of Devo and Total Devo Women. And if you guys like Devo, or you like weird photography featuring women in various stages of dress and undress with odd Devo-centric captions, let me know. I got 2 books for you. I traded him for a couple of records by his band, the Misbits. That's right, the Misbits. And pay close attention to the sticker on the front. It says, "This is not a Misfits album. It is superior." This is like, as you can probably guess by the name, 10 Bits from Hell. Low res, low bit, sort of computer game music versions of Misfits songs with the lyrics changed accordingly. This record is hilarious. It totally rocks. I love it. Good trade with my friend Alex Brunel. Thank you, Alex. When I get on the radio finally, I'll be playing this sucker. And let's do one more piece of mail before we get down to the brass tacks here, which is, of course, Tent Talks Tunes and some of the best looking album covers you'll ever see. A bit of mail here. This is a big, thick package from my pal Mike up in Auburn, Massachusetts. Gonna open this up a little bit. Mike booked a show for me in Waltham, Massachusetts with a couple of metal bands. Impenitent Thief, Cryostasium, and Larry Lifeless. It was a great show. I've played a number of shows. I've played noise shows. I've played heavy metal shows. I've played punk and hardcore shows. Those are actually the shows I prefer to play. I'll play shows with, like, singer-songwriter types, but that's not really my thing. I'm not a singer-songwriter. I'm an entertainer. I like to reach out and say, "Come here, you. Be entertained. I'm going to entertain you. And I'm going to be loud and I'm going to be raucous." That's what I do. So this show with all these metal bands was great. And wouldn't you know it, Mike saw the world debut of my new band, the Bloody Apostles, a couple weeks ago at a big metal fest in Jersey. And look at that. He was inspired to send me a big package of metal CDs on his label. This is really cool. This is going to be great driving music for me when I go down to Charlotte, North Carolina in August for some anti-scene business. Look at that, the Psycho 2009 demos. I can't read this one. Mucophagus, I can read that. Can't read that one. Can't read that one. Must be good stuff. I can't read the logos. Maybe I need stronger glasses. Maybe I need to lose 15 or 20 years for my age. Sacred Horror, I can read that. Cool graphics, simple DIY. I love it. Thank you, Mike, so much. Look forward to a chance to get back up to Waltham and play more shows with you, for you, and at you. All right, gang. That's today's mail call and a couple of mentions on the bulletin board about upcoming anti-scene business. Check out our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and go over to my new band, the Bloody Apostles, and give us a like. And we'll like you back. Mazel tov. All right, so here we are, kids, live on the Facebook, unless you're watching later on my YouTube channel. Some of the best album covers on the history, in the history of this thing that we call planet Earth. Jay Gray is tuned in. Hello, Jay. You're just in time. We're going to go in chronological order with album covers that completely just blew my mind when I saw them for the first time, and which I think stand up as legitimate works of art and just will never, ever grow old. The first one I got right here dates back in my life to the summer of 1978. Excuse me, the summer of 1978 was the first monumental summer for me in terms of music in my life. I was 13 years old and just starting to come out of loving like mainstream top 40 music and starting to learn about things that were edgier, that were darker, if you wish, stuff that was just a little bit outside the norm. And oddly enough, you might think this is odd, but you got to remember 1978, and especially for a kid my age, about 13, when this album first came out, Some Girls by the Rolling Stones, this was pretty edgy stuff. In my household, it was kind of understood that the Rolling Stones were probably homosexuals, they were drug users, they were real nasty, unsavory, dirty types of people. They were not respectable. The Rolling Stones were kind of nasty. It's like, yeah, they got lots of radio play. I can't get me no satisfaction and whatever. But there was still something very unacceptable about them. And that, of course, intrigued me greatly. I mean, what 13-year-old wouldn't be intrigued by some of that even mildly forbidden fruit? So this album came out, and the minute that I heard the song Miss You on Y100 in Miami, I was hooked. It was that whip crack snare sound that got me, and the weird sparse guitars, and the kind of like staggering lascivious rhythm, and the sort of slurred kind of drooling vocals. Like, I'd heard the Rolling Stones, like I knew the Regulation stuff, but this was something different. This was something new. This was really edgy. And then when I saw the album cover, and I'm going to make sure this is displaying properly, when I saw the album cover for the first time with those faces, I had not only one, but two hooks stuck in the roof of my mouth. This was, and I think still is, one of the funniest, edgiest, most hilarious album covers of all time. It's like the perfect fusion of everything that was going on in the air that summer. Disco and punk rock. You've got the glamorous people, the beautiful people, all the celebrities. You can see them even though they've been hideously disfigured. But that's the second half of the punchline. They've been hideously disfigured. It's Farrah Fawcett, there's Lucille Ball, Marilyn Monroe, the Rolling Stones themselves. But man, they have just been completely messed up. And I love that. Love that. And the graphics on the front, taken from one of these beautiful graphic masterpieces, old Valmore wig advertisements that you would see in the soap opera magazines and the gossip magazines. I remember that my grandmother went to a beauty parlor in our neighborhood, and they had like these gossip magazines and soap opera magazines. And so while she was getting her hair done, I'd sit and leaf through these magazines, and I remember seeing these ads so clearly. The smell of cheap hairspray and the sight of these Velmore wig advertisements. Dude, it's in my genetics now. It's in my DNA. So when the Rolling Stones album came out with that lampoon, I was there, baby. I was there. And not only that, on the back, oh my God, look at that. Women in bras. Like, flagrantly, those are women wearing bras. For a 13-year-old, that's really something. So I like this a lot. And I just loved all the different typefaces. It just looked completely chaotic and shambolic. Punk rock, you could even say. But with the colors holding it together, and just really subtle little bits of humor. Like on Shattered, there's a credit for percussion. Percussion by one Moroccan, one Jew, one wasp. I didn't even know what a wasp was. But the song titles, the graphics, everything. What an amazing cover. Did I mention, of course, that it's die cut? So you can flip it around and put the non-disfigured celebrities. Well, actually, they're pretty disfigured. It's just a little more subtle, isn't it? There's a lot of airbrushing and a lot of cutting and pasting. I mean, just look at the proportions on that face. Tell me that's not great. That is so ugly and so weird and so disturbing. It just, I must have had genetic damage from an early age. It just caught me. The label, too. The label is anything but glamorous on the original U.S. pressing. It's got a big tongue on it. The typeface is kind of crude. It looks, you can definitely tell it's hand set. They just cut out the logo from the cover and stuck it on the label and ran them off. I love this. To me, this is a graphics masterpiece. And not only that, it's my favorite Stones album of all time. #1 favorite Stones album. It is jagged, it's harsh, it's sharp, it's, to use the word again, edgy. Man, it hits, it shreds. I love this record. And I, of course, got the original when it first came out, $5.99 at the Treasury Department Store with the faces. Later pressings had a lot of the celebrity faces censored and airbrushed out and actually very cheaply covered up. So this is an original. These aren't really rare. They probably sold 1 million of these before they started censoring all the faces on it. But it's still just nice to have the original. It's cool because we're collectors. We love that kind of stuff. People may not know it because you've heard me talk about a lot of my favorite bands, but I don't really talk about the Stones a lot. But the Stones, to me, major. The Stones in general, and this album in particular, were my first taste of musical rebellion. The first music I ever heard that, like, you know, the F word was on this record. Women in bras, you know, hideous disfigurement of cultural icons. This was my first bit of real edgy music. And shortly thereafter, I discovered punk rock. And shortly after that, I discovered Devo and New Wave, and the rest is, of course, hysteria. But I love the Stones. Big mark for the Stones. That I don't think is ever going to change. Which leads us to another one of my very, very favorite album covers and one of my very, very favorite albums. Also by the Rolling Stones. And I've talked about this record before on past episodes of Tent Talks Tunes. Archived, of course, wherever the hell it is. On my YouTube channel, which you should subscribe to. I love this album. It is not popular to like this album. I never once got a hot date by telling a woman that I liked this album. I was never asked to join a band because I'd said that I liked this album. In fact, I was once thrown out of a band for playing bass like Bill Wyman. Go figure. Didn't change my style one bit. I still play bass like Bill Wyman, kinda. But this album has never scored me scene points. Except once. Once. There's one time when I met a kindred fan of this album. And you've probably heard of this person. I'm going to let people guess. If y'all want to guess, I can scroll down here and look live. If you want to guess who the, if I dare say, famous person is who I talked to, who also loved their Satanic Majesty's Request by the Rolling Stones, feel free to leave a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, also leave a comment. You'll get the answer in a second, but it's fun to guess. Yeah, I was talking to this dude, and it turns out that he also loved their Satanic Majesty's Request. I also got this one in the summer of 1978, and I was attracted to it because it was just so weird looking. It was just really weird looking. Like, I didn't know what was going on with all the clouds, and there they are dressed as wizards, and there's a couple of planets hanging in the air, and this just did not look like your average Rolling Stones album. Didn't look like your average album by anybody. So I was drawn to it immediately. I bought it because of the cover. And in truth, once again, this gets back to relative rarity, even though the original lenticular cover, if you guys can see that, that's the original 3D lenticular cover, where the Stones, if you move the cover, they sort of like look at each other and they nod their heads back and forth. The original lenticular cover is not my favorite band, not my favorite version of it. It is, in fact... Oh, Jeff Clayton. Hold on, everybody. Jeff Clayton has tuned in and chimed in. My benevolent boss at Anti-Scene has ventured to guess. He says, if it was Black and Blue, the answer would be him. And that is correct. Black and Blue is another Rolling Stones record that does not get you scene points. But you got to remember, the band that we're in is Anti-Scene. So we like the albums like Black and Blue. and Satanic Majesty's Request. Let's see. Yes, the unimpeachable president for life in the house. My favorite version of this album is the one with the plain old regular printed 2D cover, because that's the one I got, that's the one I grew up with, that's the one I love. The 2D cover. I of course have the 3D cover because I'm a collector, you know, I'm that kind of guy. My first copy of the record did not have the red and white smoky inner sleeve, nor, needless to say, was my original copy monophonic. You might ask, Tent, you old creep, why do you have the damn mono copy if the stereo copy is good enough? Well, the answer is the stereo copy is not good enough. It's kind of like the Beatles. I can't say specifically for the Stones, but Beatles albums were specifically envisioned as being mono. And the stereo versions were done by in-house engineers of the record company. What I know about Stones records is that very typically they were kind of poorly mastered. Good old London Records seemed to not put a lot of care into the mastering of Stones records. They never sounded quite as good as Beatles records. They were just always a little bit lacking in the audio department. You know, they sounded okay, but they weren't stellar. However, an original mono pressing, that sounds good. That's about as close to the way it should sound as you're going to get. So there's a reason for it. It's not just silly collector mania. There's a reason for it. Plus, I got it cheap. Think I'm going to turn down a cheap mono Stones record? Hell no. Ugh. So no one's guessed the alleged celebrity who I was talking to, where we bonded over our mutual love for Satanic Majesty's Request. No one's going to guess, huh? You people shouldn't be so bashful, so shy and diffident. I'll tell you the answer if you want to know. If you don't want to know, I'll just keep on choogling. To the next band I discovered in the summer of 1978. And I mentioned them already. And the cover that I'm going to pick out here as a graphics masterpiece is not necessarily the one you might think it is. It's a different one. It's their second album. The second album by this band to completely blow my mind. And man, what a graphics masterpiece it is. Not even put together by the band themselves, but by an outside artist. I'm talking about this one right here, kids. Devo, baby. Duty now for the future. How will I ever forget walking into Specs Music at the Westland Mall in Hialeah, Florida, and flipping through their new wave section, which was about yay thick, and going through the usual records, and all of a sudden this one popped up. Had no idea that a second Devo album had been released. There was no advertising for it. It wasn't on the radio. It just literally came out of nowhere. I went, ah! Ah! Devo have a new album out! Ah! And not only that, it looks great. This is right when UPC codes were being introduced on the packaging everywhere. And some albums already had really ugly UPC codes on them. Let's see if I got an example here I can show you. Now my stuff's all pre-UPC, I think. Yeah, it's all pre-UPC. Oh no, it's not. I'm gonna risk being a spoiler here. I'm gonna show you what your average record company would do with a UPC code. They would just stick it right there on the bottom or anywhere on the cover in a white box. It didn't matter what the rest of the cover looked like or how much graphic integrity there was on the rest of the album. They would just take this damn thing and stick it right wherever they felt like it. Ugly. Leave it to Janet Peer, P-E-R-R, to actually integrate UPC codes into the design itself. And then also, as was fashionable in the day, grids and rub-on lines. So you've got this kind of order versus chaos thing going on. The very orderly UPC codes in the neat colored boxes, and then the chaos of the lines on the devolved portrait of the band. That's awesome. And on the back, kind of the same deal. She did the exact same thing with the Warner Brothers corporate logo. She made it just as big and just as bold and just as black and white as the Devo corporate logo. So they're balanced perfectly with the song titles in the middle and more UPC codes on the back as a graphic design element. This is genius. This is real genius. Even if I didn't like the record, and this just may be my favorite Devo album, the graphic design alone is worth the price of admission. Beautiful, beautiful. Janet Pear, big salute to you. Now, Devo always had this really weird habit. Hey, Crystal's tuned in. Hello, Crystal. How you doing? Hope you like the Devo talk. That's right. Best Devo cover ever, says the Prez. Devo always had this weird habit of marketing their albums in different territories differently. So most, if not, I'm going to say most of their albums had different covers in the U.S. than they did in Europe. At least, let me think. The first one did? The fifth one did? I can't keep track of it. Whatever. They changed the covers, all right? So the UK version of Duty Now for the Future is also a graphics masterpiece. Check that out. That's the UK version of it, which has nothing but the Devo corporate logo in giant-sized, high-contrast, bolder than brass, black and white, with the stripe down the middle with all the pertinent data, and once again paying tribute to the great days of rub-on lettering, all of the song titles in rub-on lettering. And for those of you who are young whippersnappers and don't know what a rub-on letter is, I'm going to show you. Just look at this. Just hang on a second. Back before the days when we had them computators, them computer maters, them thinking machines, if you wanted to do graphic design and graphic paste up, you needed a sheet of these letters. You can see it's a plastic sheet, and on the back are the letters that are in another sort of plastic formulation. And you would take this sheet, you can actually sort of see how it works. Take the sheet, lay it down on the piece of paper or whatever, and take a pencil and rub off the letters one at a time. And you would eventually spell out what you wanted to spell. That's the way we did it back in our day, kids. You people don't know what pain and suffering's all about. You haven't been there. God damn. You think Photoshop's a pain in the ass? How about sitting there at your desk for 15 hours with a pencil and all these sheets of rub-on letters? But the results speak for themselves. They look great. And that's how you get version 2 of perhaps the best Devo album cover of all. All right, kids, we're going to get into real heavy territory now. This is literally, no exaggeration, the heaviest album I've got in my collection. By the way, Mark Irwin says that Audacity is a great program. Now, if it would only offer simultaneous multi-track recording on it. I agree. But what do you want for free, dude? If you want to catch more mice, build a better mousetrap. All right, here we go, kids. Ready for the heaviest album in my collection? Whew, I can hardly pick this thing up. It's not only a graphic masterpiece, it's heavy. Oh, man. This is one of those records I don't even want to touch with my bare hands, because every time you lay a finger on it, it leaves fingerprints, and the fingerprints mess it up. So I'm going to attempt, there's really no way to do it. And I'm sure the guys who came up with this just love the fact that you can't even really handle this thing without damaging it. But here it is, the heaviest record in my collection. The Metal Box, baby. By the almighty Public Image Limited. And you can see where somebody way back when, around 1979, handled this thing with their fingers and it left fingerprints all over it. And I've yet to find a way to get them off. Do I need to even explain how and why this album cover is so effing fantastic? Nah, I don't have to explain it. Just look at it. Just look at it. Beautiful. Highly impractical, but beautiful. And another one of the greatest albums ever recorded in the sick, twisted, tortured history of humanity. Doesn't get much better than this. 3 12-inch singles packed in a metal can that you really can't use practically because you'll mess everything up. That's why I'm kind of grateful for the fact that we have the sort of user-friendly version, 2nd edition. And if you're really going to get down to the nitty-gritty, this is the version I grew up with. This is the version that I found, once again, Specs Music in the Westland Mall. I don't know how they kept bringing in these great new wave records, but they actually did. I paid $10.99 for this new in 1979. That was a lot of coin. That was real expensive. Double album, though. Public Image Limited. Don't like the cover nearly as much as Metal Box, but it's got the lyrics. And also, the running order is slightly different from the Metal Box. And the way it is on the double album, I think makes more sense than it does on Metal Box. So, this is the playing order I like. This is the packaging I grew up with. And also the music on here is just so dark and forbidding that somehow the generic island labels on the first pressing that have the sort of like daytime patina on one side and the sort of like nighttime on the other, I think just perfectly suit the music, even more so than the classic PIL logo that's on the labels of the Metal Box. I just love that dark island logo. And to me, that's what I will always see on the turntable when I hear the music of Public Image Limited, Metal Box, and or 2nd edition. God, such good stuff. Such good stuff. That's what we call sublime, kids. Sublime! All right, gang, got a couple more to talk about here. 2 more to be specific. 2 more. Eric wants to know what's the best cover on a cover album. Wow. It's getting deep, dude. Deep. So deep that I'm not going to go there. We've been sublime. Now we're going to get ridiculous. Because there's room for all in the world of Malcolm Tent and Tent Talks Tunes. This is yet another album that I just randomly found in the bins. Actually, I think there was a display for this record when it first came out. But it's kind of the same deal. This record was released with no fanfare whatsoever. It just magically appeared in the bins one day. And this was kind of weird because this was like, I guess, late 83, and by now I had discovered independent record stores, and I really wasn't going to the mall that much to do shopping, but I was there for some reason one day. And I walked into Specs Music, and they had a great big display in the front with all the latest hot new arrivals. And I got to tell you guys, I was almost blinded when I just casually glanced over and had my eyes gouged almost out of their sockets. I mean, look at that. This one's still a little bit off center because of the first time I saw this album. I've still never recovered from this one. I love this album cover. I just love this album cover. What more can you say except born again, born again. God damn. Words can't even do justice to the brilliance of this album cover. Sheer genius. Once you've seen that, you ain't going to unsee it. That's it, baby. It is permanently ingrained on your brain. Not only one of the greatest album covers ever in the entire history of the... Well, gee whiz. Looks like this incredible color combination, as seen on Black Sabbath Born Again, blew up my internet. I started waving this sucker around and my internet went... kind of like the way Black Sabbath's career went after this album was released. But guess what? I can't be stopped. I cannot be stopped. Hey, Jenny DeSoto has just tuned in just in time to see me wrap up my soliloquy on Black Sabbath Born Again. The first part of today's Tent Talk Tunes got preempted by the shite internet, but I'm back. And I'm hoping that people are tuning in now to see the rest of my ruminations, prognostications, and thoughts on this most incredible album by Black Sabbath, which, in case you missed it, is possibly my favorite Black Sabbath record. Even if this was a crappy Black Sabbath record, and there are a couple, the cover alone, baby, the cover alone. I'm very happy to debate the musical merits of almost any record from anybody, anywhere. But this is beyond debate. There's no debating it. Sheer brilliance, sheer genius. That is art. Just look at Black Sabbath on the back cover. Look how happy those guys are to be on the back of a cover like that. Tony Iommi in particular looks delighted to be sharing cover space with a big red baby with yellow fangs and claws. Randy Larson says that the back cover's the best. Sorry, dude, I told you, it's not up to debate. There are no arguments here. This is the money shot. Enough said. All right, might as well get the advertisement in here before I talk about my last favorite album cover. I mean, I've got plenty more. I got... The internet is trying to make me lose my mind. That's the conclusion I've come to. The internet is trying to drive me bats. But I've been on the internet in one form or another since 1997. So it's too late. It's too late. I've already been driven bats. You can't drive me any further than I've already been driven. I will not stop. I am persistent. I'm using a different server now. So, see, Ray, thank you, Ms. Gelman, for steadfastly sticking with me this whole time. You've got a lot of patience, as do many people who are watching right now. We're going to give you guys a second to come on in for the third, and it better be the third, and it better be the final installment of this week's episode of Tent Talks Tunes. Fuck. Well, I don't want to waste any more time. I'm just going to mention, here's the plug. My new project band, the Bloody Apostles. I don't even know where it is. I'm so discombobulated. That's what we look like. This is what our record looks like. And you know what? That's a pretty damn good cover art, too. That is real good cover art designed by Paul Ledney of Profanatica, who is also our drummer. What you got right here in your hand is a limited edition of 50. That's 50. Can you see that? 50 handmade, hand-lathed, square, transparent 4-inch records. They are lo-fi. They are a sludge feast. They pummel, baby. It is our initial offering. We've only made 50 of them. If you want one, talk to me. $15 post-paid in the US of A. We'll get you one of these. Each one numbered individually. No two alike, literally, because they're handmade by a hard-working craftsman in Tennessee. This is cool stuff. So yeah, check me out, check it out, and get yourself some Bloody Apostles before they're sold out. Go to our page and give it a like. Please, please, thank you. All right, here we go. The last in our Rogues Gallery of album cover deliciousness, delightfulness, and dementedness. This is an album that I knew, like I had the basic concept of. When it was explained to me by my sales rep when I worked at my record store, Trash American Style, my sales rep had one of the distributors who knows what I like. My distributors got to know me very well, and they knew what I liked. He said, I got this album for you. You gotta hear it. It's an album of all song poems. And if you don't know what a song poem is, that's your homework tonight, to look up song poems. If you're like me, maybe a little bit cuckoo, a little bit loco in the caboclo, then you will love song poems. Best form of music. Even if you don't feel like looking it up and you want to do a little bit of extrapolation, you want to do a little bit of assumption, want to join some dots together, all you got to do is look at the cover of this album and you'll probably get it. This, my friends, is real art drawn by a real human being with pen and ink. This is the indescribably delicious and incredibly awesome Beat of the Traps. And basically everything you need to know about song poems is encapsulated on this album cover, drawn by the great Dan Clowes. I don't know if it's Clowes or Clowes, C-L-O-W-E-S. I'm just going to say Dan Clowes. The great Dan Clowes, whose art has graced many, many, many album covers. He drew this and he nailed it. He nailed it. Just in case you can't see it clearly, I'll sort of narrate what's going on here. What you have is the dude who's just off of work from the gas station, sitting at home in the trailer park while the wife and kids are screaming at him. And he's got the ad in front of him with a couple of beers. Set your poems to music. Fame and fortune could be yours. Nashville songwriters need lyrics. And so he's got the visions of fame, and he's writing a song called Santa Claus Goes Modern. This explains everything. And that's one reason, not only is just such a great pen and ink drawing, but it just so perfectly explains what the contents of the album are all about. It's perfect. You don't need to go any further. It's all there for you. Beautifully rendered in genuine black and white. And the back cover is also just one of those simple, completely functional compilation album cover designs with the record labels and the song titles and some liner notes. It's perfect. It's just perfect. It's got everything. It's so tastefully put together and laid out. And it's almost just a bonus, almost just a superfluous bonus, that the music contained on here is so wonderful and so otherworldly and so captivating that it does the cover justice, and vice versa. So yes, the Beat of the Traps. This opened up an entire multiverse of music for yours truly. If you guys really want to find some genuinely amazing and wonderful and indescribable music, look up song poems and get ready to get lost, because you probably ain't never going to come back. And just as kind of a postscript to that, I was at the thrift shop a little while ago, and I found something from my childhood that I love and I remember so well for $2. An original drinking bird. Yes, the drinky bird. But guess what? Dan Clothes drew the box art. That's Dan Clothes, baby. His art graces one of the all-time classic toys, if you want to call it a toy, that you will ever come across. That's his art. I would have bought it for the art alone. In fact, I did. I've never even taken the bird out of the box. The cover, the box by Dan Clothes. Effing cool. As Rob McGuire says, Jimmy Carter says yes. And I say yes as well. Whew, that's it, gang. I've expended an awful lot of wind talking about great album covers. I'm just going to wrap things up by reiterating, keep your eye out for anti-scene activity. We got gigs coming up in North Carolina in the month of August and the month of October. There's a set list in the works. It's got a lot of stuff that surprised me, and I think will surprise you as well. So if you want to do the almighty anti-scene thing, make plans and get it together. Because this band will deliver. Just saying. It ain't bragging if you can do it. It's going to happen. Anti-scene, baby. Bloody Apostles. We got the incredible 4-inch hand-lathed record, which I've already lost. It's okay, I got another one over here. 4-inch hand-lathed record of 50 made. Write to me if you want one. And of course, don't forget to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Look me up on Discogs and eBay. My website. Just do it, man. I'm going to keep you busy forever. I'm going to keep you entertained for a long time. That'll give you something to do over the next 167 hours until the next Tent Talks Tunes. So thank you so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. I will be back. Once again, to reiterate, Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. Until we meet again, this is Malcolm Tent saying so long from the Nutmeg State.